Hi, my name is Chris Freeman. I'm a teacher at Kellam High School here in Virginia Beach. And this is the second part of a series to help my students understand how better to use ArcGIS and create interactive maps. So, where I left off was that we have just drawn a perimeter line around a layer that helps us see where the border of Kellam High School is, but we want to get rid of that layer and keep our perimeter line. Well, I notice my perimeter line is hard to see, so I want to go to change symbol, and certainly I could change the title of what this is here, but I want to change this. Maybe I'll make it red, but you can make it whatever color you'd like. I want to keep the transparency so that it is a very bold, dark line. And I want to go to my line width. I was having trouble seeing that line. It was so thin. I want to bring this to about 8. Maybe you want to make it a little thicker or a little thinner. That's for your visual, particular feeling on aesthetics. I want to keep this line a straight, bold line that's easy to see without any dashes or anything like that. And then I want to hit OK. And some of my students are on Chromebooks and probably thinking, gosh, my screen doesn't see the OK. And this is how you save all the work that you've done just now and all these changes that we've just made. So if that is the case, you're going to need to come up to these 3 dots, click on them, and then adjust the zoom setting for your screen. Push back a little bit, and you will be able to then see the OK. So we're going to go over here, click OK. Hopefully that will, after doing that setting, be in view for you, and then you will be able to save that. And as you can see, it immediately updates, and now I have this nice bold line around the perimeter of my school. So now we want to remove this layer so that we can start looking at the internal quadrants and thinking about how to draw those lines. And so what I'm going to do, oh my goodness, is not make my screen turn completely blue. I'm going to details. And just ignore everything that I just did there. That was confusing. And we're going to go up to details. And when I click on details, a couple times there, it gets rid of the content that I was using to draw lines. And so I want to look at the school property thing that we worked so hard to get, but now we have a better perimeter line that we can use. And we can remove that gold color and start looking at, well, where do we want to make some lines and distinguish the permeable from impermeable surfaces at Kellam High School. So to do this, I want to think about highlighting a specific area. And so if I just take this forest right here as an example, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to, well, certainly I could measure that forest, right? But if I find this measurement, I have no real way of saving the measurement data that I collect by clicking on measure, making sure this is highlighted. That's great information. I can click on a space and start mapping out a particular area, and it tells me how many square miles that is. I would certainly want to convert that to acres, and then I know how many acres that is. But that's not really what I want to do, because I want to make sure I have saved data and a place to put it in. So I'm going to go over here to add, and then I'm going to add map notes again, and maybe I'll name this forested land or something along those lines to start getting the idea that this is a space that is permeable but also a forest, so you can think about what type of designation you want to call it. And I'm going to be drawing an area. So instead of drawing line like we did last time, I'm going to come to area, and then I really want to start mapping this out. It says click once to start this. So I'm going to click once, and then I am drawing. As you can see, I'm going to come all the way over to the edge of the forest here. And I just want to mark this off. And this makes a nice, convenient way for me to keep an eye on the space that is permeable within the confines of my school property. And so once I'm done, I can double click, and I might want to title this forest, and I want to, in the description, put down some details, maybe about tree species, but I also want to include what the measured area of that is in acreage. So that is something that I need to do. I need to change the symbol before we close out of this. I want to go to my fill line, and I like my fill line at 50% because then I can sort of see the trees underneath it. And I think I want to make my fill line nice and bright green. So that looks good. I'm going to click OK to save that. And then I can exit out of here for now, and I have this nice section of my school that I can get information on. Now this is where it gets a little tricky because there's a lot of data stacking up on top of each other here, and I want to measure that space. So here I am going to measure, and when I click on that, notice what has happened. I actually am riding on top of the lines that I just made. It's a little frustrating. So I want to click, and now you can see this blue line here. But unfortunately, every time I am clicking on that line, this is going to come up and I have to hit close. So just carefully hit close every time that comes up, and you can just walk around the perimeter of your quadrant. And so I am going to just keep moving this around, and hopefully you're able to follow me while we do this. And I gotta hit close again there. There may be some better technique that I just don't know about, so that I'm not riding on top of and having those other bits pop up every time, throwing me off my game here. But this is working, and it will get the job done. We're measuring off the perimeter of our forested area, and this is going to tell us exactly what the acreage is of this point. One more little section to do, and that gives us 12.1 acres. That's important. I'm going to close out of this, and now I no longer need this. I can just highlight 12.1 acres, and I can close out of this program, and I can open up the area of this space. Now obviously there's other stuff that I can write in here and should to add to some important content, but for right now I'm quite happy with knowing that it's a forested area, 12.1 acres, and I might want to note that this is going to be a permeable surface. And that is how we work through making quadrants that are usable for this application, and more on the next tutorial. Thanks for listening.